Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, the Star Trek podcast. My name is Caitlin, and joining me today are...
Jake.
Chris.
Ames.
Carl.
Carl is back.
Hello, Carl.
Hey, thanks everybody.
Coming to us from the snow-swept Midwest.
Yes, live
Yeah,
from
where are you at now,
Minneapolis.
Carl?
Minneapolis.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the Midwest is always under 3 feet of snow minimum, regardless of time of year.
That's
not even always
very
about
true.
the amount of snow so much as like the fact that it gets to be like negative 30 degrees and like people have to leave their cars running and shit.
Mm-hmm. We're one of those places where when people die in January, you have to wait till April to bury them.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, you haven't quite picked up the local accent yet.
Oh, I used to have it, and then it got sort of pushed out of me by my other states, and now I'm curious when it will reemerge.
What you should do
can't
is,
wait.
instead of developing that accent again, you should try to sound like Lenny and Squiggy.
From
Laverne and Shirley. Despite the fact that they were also from Minneapolis. They just
Right.
kind of sounded like this.
Yeah.
That's not really the accent I associate, but all right.
Was that a
Schmozzle.
Rene Aubergenois impression? Because that's what he sounds like in real life. Fuck!
Hey, everybody.
That's Rene Aubergenois.
That was a weird moment.
He just sounds like...
Harumph.
Oh, may you rest in peace. I'm sorry, Renee.
All
All
right,
right,
let's
enough
do
about
it.
that. We're here today. It's episode 179.
Woo!
And
Huzzah.
we're here to talk about 2 Star Trek Deep Space Nine episodes. We're going to talk about Shakaar and Facets. Okay, in Shakaar, the Bajoran First Minister has died. It's heart failure. I still think Kai Winn did it. And the reason why I think Kai Winn did it is because she immediately steps in and is like, I'm the First Minister. And not only is she the First Minister, she decides to go full fascist immediately. She brings Kira into her office, and she my childs and all that shit. And as she does. And she's like, my child. I need you to go visit your old spy terrorist buddy Shakaar because we gave them some reclamators, which I guess like make soil less toxic. And as similar, it's interesting. The government is more concerned with their economy than the well-being of their own people, which is wild.
That would never happen.
That seems really far-fetched. But she wants to get those reclamators back because she wants to like grow, I don't know, the Bajoran equivalent of saffron or some shit and start making that money. So, can you kindly go ask Shakaar to give us back our shit? And Kira's like, sure, I'll ask. Sounds great. So she goes, and they're old buddies, and it's great. And she's like, how's about you give us back those reclamators? And he's like, well... And then their friends show up, Pharrell and Lupatza? Is that right? I don't even know. It's like I didn't see this episode. And I don't know which is which. Is Lupazza the woman?
I believe it's Lupaza. And
Lupazza.
yes.
So Lupazza's like, tell that bitch fuck no, we're not giving them their reclamators back. Right, Shakaar? Yeah, Kira, you fucking tell her. Tell her it's not happening. And Kira's like, ha ha. So, so Kira's like, all right, what about if we all just sit down and talk? And Shakaar's like, all right. So she goes back to talk to Kai Winn. And she's like, well, I didn't get them back, but I've arranged a meeting. And Kai Winn's like, great, I'll meet him. That sounds great. Go tell him that. And so she does. But surprise, some Bajoran cops show up and they want to arrest Shakaar. But instead, Shakaar and Kira beat the shit out of them, and now all of them are on the lam. And fucking Kai Winn is, like, calling together troops from all over fucking Bajor to hunt them down for these fucking stupid reclamators. She's, really, like, gonna lead to civil war with all this bullshit. And so then she's like, hey, Cisco, have you talked to Kira? Do you know what's going on with Kira? Could you maybe, she's like, I want to withdraw my military, but I want to send yours in. Do you think you could just send could you do my dirty work for me? Because it's doesn't look great for me.
Yeah,
to be.
and drag the Federation into this, because that's a thing.
And Sisko's like, LOL, no bitch, I don't get involved in Bajoran fucking planetary government bullshit.
It's kind of Prime Directive,
Well,
right?
I was going to say, this is like the first time someone has called upon the Prime Directive for a not shitty reason
Yeah.
in a while.
Well, and I was just like, as I was watching, I was like, Sisko's not gonna help you. Don't call Sisko. And then Sisko's like, yeah, Sisko's not gonna help you. Don't call me.
Instead, go get Kira killed.
So he's like, F no, you're on your own. And Kai Winn's like, well, then maybe Bajor doesn't want to be friends with the Federation anymore. And Sisko's like, whatever, bitch.
Maybe we'll retract our application for Federation membership. That's still a thing. Idiots!
Cut to that
Idiots.
gif of Wonka saying, no, stop, don't. Total bummer. Oh, and there's more. There's a great B plot. We'll get there. But so, back on...
I love you, Caitlin.
Thank you. So back to our friends on Bajor. They're surrounded, or maybe the other guys are surrounded. I don't really understand military tactics.
They end up surrounding the
Yeah, they set up an
police
ambush.
and
An
military.
ambush, that's what I thought. So Shakaar and Kira go down and they're like, listen, I didn't fight all those Cardassians to start shooting Bajorans. And the other guy, who's like some kind of war hero dude, was like, hey, yeah, me too. Fuck this shit. So they like storm Kai Winn's office. And Kira's like, this is how it's gonna go. My man Shakaar here, he's gonna run for first minister. He's gonna whoop your ass. And you are never gonna fucking pull this again. And Kai Winn is all, my child. I don't think she actually said that. I don't think she got to respond. But, goodbye, bitch. So that's basically what happened in the A plot. And then the B plot, and my first note in my notebook, darts!
Jesus
O'Brien,
Christ.
guys, is in the zone. Odds are 15 to 1 or 10 to 1. A lot to 1 on O'Brien. He's just beating bitches at darts left and right. And
Can't be beaten.
Nope.
he can't. And, he's like, at one point,
Except
he's
by
kind of
Keiko.
like, Quark, I'm not going to play darts tomorrow. I'm going to go kayaking. And Quark's like, whoops, I lost that kayaking program. Darn.
Because every time you go kayaking, you break something.
Yeah, he basically didn't want him to dislocate his shoulder. And guess what happens? During his final, as it turns out, match while he's in the zone, Quark shows up to hand him off a bev, and O'Brien reaches out and dislocates his shoulder? Like, I thought I was fucking old because I, threw my back once while sneezing. This
Clearly, he's been
motherfucker popped a
kayaking.
fucking arm out while grabbing a beverage?
Well, it was also it turns out his rotator cuff was already fucked up, and this was just the straw that broke the camel's back, and...
So here's the part that hurt me personally, though, was that it wasn't a scam.
Right? I had it once, too.
Because he's like, Quark's like, it's gonna be 10 to 1 tomorrow, and O'Brien's like, I'd make it 15 to 1 if I were you. And then he fucks up his shit. I thought for sure that he and Julian were like,
Yeah, fucking
dude,
with
got
Quark.
the,
Throwing
because
the match.
Julian just happens to be there to be like, oh no, his arm, it's a very serious, he's gonna need a very serious surgery. None of that seemed real. So the fact that they didn't just then also collect a gigantic payday was so offensive. I was like,
that-
how dare you?
It was also acted terribly. It's,
Yeah.
I've moved slightly
Oh,
and
no,
injured
my arm.
myself profusely.
Everything about that. Because we know that Cole Meany can act like he's in pain realistically, because this show
Psychologically.
constantly beats the shit out of the chief.
And we
so
love it.
all felt so heightened. Julian felt like, it feels like that was originally what it was
Oh
supposed
no,
to be, but
he
someone...
needs a surgery.
Right.
A very serious surgery.
Everything about it. I swear if you asked him, they'd be like, oh yeah, they made us rewrite the ending at the last minute because
That's
someone
so-
objected, or...
So dumb.
And the
Listen,
line is like, I can do this. I just need surgery. It's like Bozo the Clown presents O'Brien.
I'll admit,
I'll call now.
I've had, a fucked up back since I was 17. I once severely threw my back out in my mid-20s taking a plate out of a dishwasher, so I get it.
oh, I thought you were
Now
going to tell
Chris
the story in New York.
Chris no longer washes his dishes.
I forgot
Chris
about
once
that.
threw his back out so hard just walking in New York. He was in so much pain. Literally,
I laugh,
he threw
that's
up
horrible.
on the subway. Literally. And
bless her, this wonderful woman just assumed, correct, as you would, it's night on the subway between New York and New Jersey. She assumed I was drunk.
Oh.
And handed someone, like, say, here, give him this water, it's sealed, I haven't touched it. I'm just there like, thank you, I'm not drunk. But I couldn't speak. So, I mean, yes.
You don't mention my noble sacrifice of my pillowcase.
Yeah.
I, whipped my pillow out of its case, shoved it at our host, and, threw it under his face right before he ralphed on the subway.
Ah.
Oh, we threw it away. There was no washing that out. That's over.
But yeah, so, I mean, I will admit, you can sometimes have a severe reaction to a tiny, tiny motion. But, again, like we were saying, the way it was acted between both him and Julian, it's like...
Yeah. I mean, even in terms of plot, who the fuck's idea was it to have this B-plot in the first place? Because it's so nothing. It's such a nothing plot.
It was
it's
just
such a waste
time.
of fucking time. And here's my thing, because I know we're also going to be talking about Facets after this, where we have a B-plot that's better, that probably should have just been in this episode, and then in Facets, we could have struck the B-plot and just concentrated on the actual plot that was happening that was rushed as fuck, but we'll talk about that in a couple minutes.
But
I would have just skipped Facets full stop, frankly.
We'll get to
Right.
it.
I know.
But yeah,
What the fuck, Darts? What did you really just need something for Miles and Quark to do?
In their writer.
What I like about that scene is, Deep Space Nine is the only Trek show that sort of cares what people do while they're recreating, at least. When O'Brien says, I'm in the zone, and Cisco is like, oh, he's in the zone. It's so strange. It's like he's a teenager, and he's brought home some new slang, and everyone's making fun of him for saying in the zone.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, I guess it is a very nice counterpoint, because, with TNG, usually if someone was trying to engage in recreation, either it was a holodeck program, which then went horribly wrong and was the episode, or they would get interrupted by something, or it was one of its many, 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 many concerts.
Or it was just a way to lay in exposition by having, say, the ladies doing calisthenics together in their bathing suits.
Yeah.
so that they can be talking about something together.
Yeah. But you're right. This is one where it's kind of not only is it just it's recreation, it's also something very normal.
Yeah.
It's not a symposia
or at least mundane.
Yeah. Or a classical performance or a Shakespeare via Android. It's very normal.
And it's doubly weird because the A-plot is so consequential.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really one of my favorite A-plots, I think, on Deep Space.
Well,
but the B-plot dragged it way the fuck down for me.
Yeah.
What is great about the A-plot, and I'm sure there'll be hell to pay because of it, but it was so nice to watch Kai Winn lose.
Yeah.
She's been losing an awful lot. I feel like
more like
I'm getting
Kai
a little
lose.
I'm getting a little bit tired of the Kai Winn episodes because every single time she's just there to be evil. And it's like, dude, she can be a more three-dimensional character. She can't just be here. The second they're like, oh, she's the first minister now because we felt like increasing the stakes. I don't know. I felt like it was a little too obvious or something.
I don't know. I disagree a little bit because I don't think that she's yes, she is just evil and she's always evil. But I do think, and this might be just Louise Fletcher's performance, but I think she does bring some depth to that character.
I want shades of evil, not just evil.
But I think there are
evil.
shades. I think another example is Life Support, where she showed up, and in the end her motives were self-serving, but it wasn't like she was just being evil in that episode. And in this episode, she was just, she was doing MAGA shit, the same shit she always does.
Yeah. I mean, we could all see her tear gassing a group of protesters to hold a Bible in front of a church.
Oh, yeah.
She literally blew up a school. So, I would say.
Yeah. And what I love, I guess what I find nuanced of it is I'm not particularly sure how self-aware she is about how deluded she is. Because, when she's in that meeting with Cisco and, he's like, you're overreacting. She immediately goes, this is a test for me of my ability to lead given to me by the prophets. And it's like, oh shit. And it sort of reminds, like, sometimes when you deal with politicians, you realize, like, their entire world is in their head.
Yeah.
It's like, where do you plug into that as a regular citizen?
I remember at first I was thinking, like, why wouldn't there be a law against your fucking space pope also being your first executive? But then I remembered we're on Bajor.
Oh, that's true. I was going to
there's
say,
no separation of church and state.
I said the same
consolidating too
thing.
much power.
When I was watching it, I was like, wow, they didn't have separation of church and state to begin with, but now they really fucking do not.
Yeah, like, it's just... Bajor is just... It is such a backwater. Because any civilized nation would have very strict separation of church and state.
Yeah, I also think there was, her plan... I feel like her plan went exactly as she thought it was going to go up until the point that the military flipped.
Yeah.
Because the incident, the thing with Cisco, the first thing I thought in this episode, because she brings up when she's first talking to Kira about how, this will help our admission to the Federation. I'm like, wait a minute, but you don't want to, you hate the Federation, Kai. You are the last person that would want that. I think you're just manipulating Kira into helping you. And then when Cisco shows up, she's like, this could if you don't help me, this could jeopardize our membership application. And I'm just thinking, wait a minute. This is a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if Cisco goes and, sends troops in to put down this rebellion, the populace will never accept the Federation because it'll be like, yeah, no, you just killed our heroes or, imprisoned, you're just the Cardassians again.
You effectively invaded us.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and then if Cisco says no, which is what he did, Kai can be like, well, we asked the Federation to help us with this Civil War uprising thing, and they didn't, so,
Yeah, you don't know what would have happened if they did get involved. It could have been a little more sane than, let's run into the hills and shoot each other over a couple of reclamators.
Yeah, like, what she doesn't understand is if they actually sent anyone in, what they would do first is send in a negotiator. They'd, like, call up Picard and be like, could you get these two to sit down and talk to each other?
Where's Reva these days? He can handle it. Oh, no, he probably got murdered.
Oh, he definitely got murdered.
Well, that was supposedly the Kira role, though. Like, what I like about what she does, is the way she does everything sort of right. One thing I love about Kira Kai Winn scenes is that Kai Winn is always in control of everything, and Kira's, like, hatred for her is right in her face. Like, she's always looking at her like, I'm going to kill you. And,
You killed my boyfriend. Yeah. Actually, no, she didn't. Her boyfriend just happened to die. He was going to die anyway.
Yeah. And that's why Kai Winn can be the leader that she is, and kind of the space pope or whatever. Like, this is medieval politics in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kai Winn was probably going to go and imprison Shakaar regardless. So was sending Kira in just a way to make it look like she was doing things legit, or what?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think also as a way to sort of bind
appearances.
Kira to her. Like, see, I tried it your way. I'm not so bad.
It was interesting, too, because I remember thinking when this started, I was like, oh, wow, it's actually kind of been a while since we had one of these, like, Kira haunted by her past episodes. Which makes sense because, we had a lot of them, it feels like, especially in the first season, because, everything was still fresh. Now that Bajor has had a few years to kind of get its footing, it makes sense that this would be happening less and less.
Nope, but they're all still ready to switch to terrorism in a fucking second.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, they are. It's
Don't let them in the Federation. God damn
Yeah,
it.
but,
it's still the first minister of the provisional government. They don't have a government yet.
Well, they don't have a constitution. It's like what was the thing that the United States, the Articles of Confederation?
Yeah. I think
it's like
that's
that.
right.
But what's interesting is I don't know that I would call it terrorism. I'd call it a civil dispute, right? It's an insurrection.
Yeah.
But terrorism and a civil insurrection are different things.
Well, yeah, they were
Oh,
intentionally like saying that they didn't want to kill their own people. I mean, that's like pretty anti-terrorist.
Yeah, terrorism would be like, we're going to go blow up a bus station, to prove our point. This is just, no, we've been wronged by the government. We're going to go up into the hills, and if the government comes after us, we'll defend ourselves.
Oh, yeah, but you can tell Lupa's specifically was like, if there's killing, I want to be in on the killing.
Yeah,
though.
but yeah, I mean that's the same. That's what the Minutemen were in the 1770.
Are there any consequences for Kira after this, or no?
Does not
I'm
seem
guessing
so.
no.
Doesn't seem
Yeah, I'm
like
guessing
it.
not. Well, I mean, if
I
the
think,
whole military flipped.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually what I love about the episode is, I really like sci-fi things about politics. It's easy to find political stuff that's burdened with long speeches, but this is like, I really feel like you can feel every decision and every ramification of what goes on in society. That scene in the valley, like as far as I'm concerned, that could be a 10-minute play. Like it's that good. Shakaar and Kira are like, all right, you shoot him. I can't shoot him.
No, I'm not going to do. I can't.
All right, I guess we'll go talk. And then they go down and they decide what to do, trade some stories, and like in the same cadence as you might have if you were deciding what kind of window to buy, they decide how to handle this threat.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you want on your pizza? But that would be a war.
Yeah, no,
That would be a legit like bloodbath.
Yeah.
that you would stab your sibling over.
Yeah, and it's also not easy because it's the reclamators, war over some reclamators. But if you switch that to coronavirus ventilation equipment, you understand completely why this would get so hot so quickly.
Well, and that's, I think, what just shows how, like, bad of a leader Kai Winn is.
Yes.
Is the fact that these reclamates, like, oh no, we'll miss this planting season. Yeah, there'll be another one in
but it's
year.
the principle of the thing. Like, everything with her is the principle of the thing.
No, I know.
Like,
She wants it now.
It's also like this reclamator thing is indicative of every other thing. Like, if they don't give me their reclamators, if I don't, take an inch from them, they're not going to let me take a mile from them.
Yeah, and it's convenient to, like, so many of the facts she left out when talking to Kira.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the way she told the story, it was like, for all we knew, they'd had these reclamators for ages. It kind of sounded like that the way she told it. Then they get there, it's like, yeah, we were promised them for a year, we've had them for 2 months, we had to wait 3 years for them. It's like, oh, that is a very different situation. I mean, I was already...
Can they get more reclamators or no? Can they just ask the Federation instead of come invade or give us more fucking reclamators or call the flaky skin people? They're great farmers.
Yeah, I think they burned that bridge.
Damn it.
They burned that bridge when they burned up that child in the ship.
Well, it all sort of comes down to resource management and that facet of government. I'm sure there's some reason you can't just replicate a reclamator.
Yeah, but I'm sure other places have them available that they could trade for them or in some other way acquire more.
I mean, that does seem like the
there's,
exact thing that the Federation should be doing on Bajor is like,
Yeah.
That's true.
Like, they probably got 12 of them just chilling out on the Enterprise.
Yeah, so I still blame Cisco.
It's like the warehouse full of supplies in Puerto Rico that they discovered months after the hurricane, and they're like, what
Woof.
the fuck?
Oh God.
Kai Winn.
Here's my...
So wait, so that equivalent would be that like Kai Winn has 24 of them like in her bedchamber.
I bet she does, honestly.
Probably.
Here's my next question. What does everybody think of our new character, Shakaar, who I can only assume we'll see more of?
Ugh.
Oh, I already assumed we were never seeing him again.
And does anybody recognize him?
I meant to look him up because I was like, I know that face and I completely forgot. So please, who is he?
Oh my god, you're gonna love this. No, you're gonna hate this. He was our good friend, Ronan. From Sub Rosa.
From TNG?
Yeah. He was a
Ronan,
ghost
the
in Big
Magnificent,
It
or the
is.
Wondrous, or whatever the fuck. What the fuck was he called?
He's-
Ronan Outrageous? No, that's I'm
No,
thinking
you're thinking of
Okona.
Okona.
Fuck. Who is it? Who's
No,
Ronan?
he was
The ghost that fucked Beverly.
fucker.
No!
You're not Nana. Nana's dead.
I do
That's
hate
why
it.
he was familiar. That's fucking amazing. He looks way better in this than he did in that.
Well, even though he still kind of had like the very flippy hair that you could tussle your hand through, and I'm sure Kira wanted to. Like it was styled in a more logical way.
Yeah, no, I like, they were clearly like, again, I assume we don't, I don't remember. I assume we don't see him again.
No, we
He's
definitely.
he's now
back.
He is.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
the head of the Bajoran provisional government now.
Yeah, but,
Look, just let me put it this way.
He's definitely gonna be
the
around.
last dreamboat Bajoran that Kira took an interest in has been killed off. So what are we
that's what
gonna
I
do?
say. It did feel like they were kind of maybe trying to set him up as a new love interest.
Well, definitely. She blew out her morning candle for Burial after they met.
She blew out her
She was
O-ring.
like, dropped the lung. She's like, well, I'm done with Burial.
Well,
Found myself a new flame.
After
Does seem-
seeing all the romance he's capable of in Sub Rosa, we just know, like, oh yeah.
Oh my god, I love that it's Ronan.
Gross.
That's fucking amazing.
Creepy.
It does seem
know,
like
it-
Kira has a type.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah, we
assholes
also-
that Kai Winn doesn't like.
True.
She's
Yeah,
like the
we-
teenager trying to date everyone who Kai Winn hates.
Yeah. We've
She's
also
like,
seen.
I love him, Mom.
Yeah, we've also seen Savar, the Vulcan who was playing darts with Miles, because he was Endor, the dad character in Suddenly Human, who just wanted his fake ass son back.
No shit. Wow.
Really?
Wait, the Bajoran dad with the Cardassian son? Different
No,
dad?
no, the
Remember
The
the
alien
whining
dad
kid?
with the... Remember they were like,
The
oh, you
horrible
know,
keening.
if we kill a parent
Oh.
in battle, we have to adopt the son and raise him among ourselves.
and he was like living
yeah,
in
that's-
Picard's quarters in a hammock, and
I thought that's what I was
his
talking about.
grandmother
Yeah,
was an admiral.
There weren't any Cardassians in that episode.
Oh, all right, then I don't know what I'm talking
Yeah, no, this was a different
TNG.
race they'd been having a border war with that we never heard of before. That kind of
The
foreshadowed.
kid's name was Jono.
Yes, it was.
Sounds familiar.
Um,
Yeah,
TNG
it was
or
not a
it
good
Deep Space
episode.
Nine?
TNG.
TNG.
Okay.
So
we get all over the place. Imagine how bad I'm going to be. See, we're only in Deep Space Nine season 3. Imagine when we're at like the end of Enterprise, and I'm like, okay, was that a TOS episode? I don't remember. You're like, no, it was literally last season. It's not going to get any better. Is all
We
I'm
talked
saying.
about this last week.
It was that
Oh.
time Cisco fought the Gorn. Come on, guys.
Oh yeah.
the
take on
Mennonites,
it.
what were those guys called?
Yeah.
The Moonanites? Who are the fucking Gorn people?
The Gorn.
No, the people.
Oh,
the people
That brought them
that
together.
Come on, Ames, you know.
I probably do know.
It's not the Organians. That's the
No,
other one
that's
with
the
the
other one.
Klingons.
But no, Moonanites were those
the things from the
Adult Swim
bomb
thing.
scare.
the Boston
Yeah.
bomb scare.
Yeah, I don't remember.
my-
Anyway,
My memory is.
it was
full.
it was an M word.
I'll look it up. You guys
Anyway,
keep
I was
talking.
gonna say, so Kai Winn does this power play move to become the first minister.
Metron.
Metron, that's right. That's what
Well
it was.
done.
And she, what it reminded me of, so you remember back, this was like, what, season 1 or 2, or it might have been, I think it was the cliffhanger of season 1. The Circle and Jaro, and the last time that Winn and, tried to do some political power play.
Oh yeah, where she were not Terrence Stamp. Who was the actor?
That guy that's in everything.
Yeah, him. They were gonna like be a power couple.
Yeah, and he was going to be the political arm, and she was going to be the religious arm, and they were going to rule the galaxy with an iron fist.
Yeah.
But now I think she's just realized, like, if you want something done right,
Well, yeah, never rely on a man. Like that's step one. We will screw up.
I liked that I read that the original pitch for this episode wasn't the whole Reclamator thing. Kai Winn was added very, very late. But there was going to be an idea that they were going to be opening up a museum on Bajor, and Shakaar and his resistance folks were protesting against it because they thought that all like the stuff in the museum were much better used practically by like the farmers and stuff. Like basically the Reclamators would have been an exhibit instead of being used as Reclamators.
Wow, that's a stupid idea.
That's a really stupid idea.
It sounds like a really shitty museum, too. Like, nobody wants to go to a fucking agricultural museum. Like, that's fucking boring. And here we see the Reclamators, which remove all the toxins from the soil. Like, Snorefest, guys. You'd have to go to it. You'd have to go to it, like, every 3 years as part of your, like, Bajoran K through 12 program. Oh, the fucking Reclamators again. Jesus
Like, I
Christ.
could see if they were, like, upset because they felt it was a museum that was misrepresenting their history or something. That would have been an interesting angle.
yeah, you can't tear down that statue of Gul Dukat. That's part of our heritage.
That did remind me that one thing that I thought was really nice was when Sisko tells Kira that the First Minister died, her immediate instinct is he must have been murdered. Because that's just what her life has been.
It was mine
no
too,
heart failure.
especially once they said Kai Winn was in charge. I'm like, oh, so she killed him.
But she was appointed
killed
by
the
other
fuck
people.
out of that guy.
No, but that was just like, I thought it was a nice thing, because it's like, this is probably one of the first major Bajoran natural deaths in years. You know, and it's a concept that's alien to her, and that was like, it's a really brief moment, but it's really, the thought put into it is perfect, you know, because that's so much of her life has been, this person has died, it's like, who killed them and how? You know, it's like, oh no, he was old.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
think,
oh yeah, that can happen now.
Yeah, Wynn says at one point, I think they're talking about Barial's death, that they consider death leaving us to work with the prophets. Fucking,
Oh yeah, that was a great. I picked up on something.
A lot like God calling their children home.
So
it's very similar to me.
When they were talking about what's his fuck's death,
Barial's death. Kai Winn.
When they're talking about Barial's death, and she said, you know, oh, he walks with the prophets now. And then later in the episode, I think when she's sending Kira out to do the, you know, to go talk to Shakaar, she says, walk with the prophet's child. And all I could think of, did you just tell her to die?
That's a good point. That's the thing is...
At one point she says, we all walk with the prophets. So it's like, holy shit, what's she planning?
We're all dead, motherfucker.
Yeah, no, really, everything with her, like... You know, I think we give a lot of credit where, you know, whenever Garrick's talking, there's just layers upon... It's true with her, too, though. Like, hers are a little more obvious sometimes, but it's just like, you're never getting a straight statement out of her, either.
Yeah, especially the lies.
Yes.
Only lies.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like Kai Winn versus Garrick.
That's a conversation I'd love to see. I don't think we ever get it, but...
Between Garrick and Kai Winn? I feel like that would be like Kirk... lying, giving a logical fallacy thing to a computer. They would just both explode.
Yeah, it would all just be them talking effectively in code at each other about various things.
Well, it'd be like that scene between Garrick and Quark, but like, you know, to the third power.
What scene between Garrick and Quark?
Oh god, it was... I can't remember the episode. Remember there was a scene where it's the one where Quark's old flame, the Cardassian professor there.
Oh, when they're talking about clothes and the cut of clothes and like that.
It's there so obviously.
Some people think that style of dress is very dangerous or some bullshit.
Yeah, God, that was a good scene.
I don't know. I don't think Kai Winn could come within a mile of Garrick's wit and intelligence.
Oh no, that's true. But I'm just talking about the level of like.
Oh yeah, I mean she would, but he would be talking circles around her.
Oh, for sure. Like she's incredibly adept at being duplicitous, but the thing is, like, really, it's just that she talks out of both sides of her mouth. I don't think she's actually terribly clever. I just think that she's very good at playing the system and playing her part in it. No, that's true. Whereas Garrick somehow knows not to trust himself, but believes himself as well. It makes perfect sense.
Well, that's the great thing. I mean, Garrick is kind of like, don't bullshit a bullshitter. Yeah. And Kai Winn is kind of like, what are you talking about? I've never lied in my life. I'm angry at you for telling me I've lied. Yeah. I mean, Kai Winn really is the MAGA candidate of Bajor. You know, like,
she's also like Brexit with the Federation.
That's true. No, I don't know. Like, she's like, let's pull out of NATO or whatever garbage
that's a good
he used
point.
to say.
Yeah, God, she is so much more depressingly relevant now than she was in 1994.
Yep. A lot of Deep Space Nine is, I think. It really is having its time now.
I mean, it was good then, but now it's just, like, upsetting. Mm-hmm. You know, she's like, what? You want me to, like, do my job and negotiate with people? That sounds boring. I'm just gonna have people shot.
Scary. What about that other episode?
You ready for that one?
I'm ready for that one. Tell us about it.
How could you not be ready for this one?
My notes are very brief because I paid very little attention because I found it terrible.
What?
I didn't like it.
But his suit!
I have stories. The stories are going to be like, whoa.
Well, anyway, spoiler, I didn't like it. But in Facets, Jadzia is having her Sweet 16. No, sorry. Sorry.
16 candles.
Jantara. Sorry, it's a Jantara. And basically...
No, hold on.
It wasn't even that funny. I mean, I appreciate it, but
Chris, when Chris gets an image in his head that no one else understands, it takes a minute.
You just get the little like
some
plastic tiara
and like
the,
a big
the
puffy
banner.
pink dress or something. Like it's
Well, the dress is more quinceañera.
What's it? Well, no, I was thinking that, but because I almost said quinceañera. But what's the other thing that Southern people do when the girls are like coming
Debutante
out?
ball.
No, there's another word for it.
Coming out ball.
I don't know.
Rumspringa.
I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I have no idea what that is.
That's the Amish.
That's what the
thing.
Amish do.
It's where they're allowed to go like play video
go
games
have
for a bit.
A year of fun. God damn it! I'm gonna have to look it up later because it's gonna bother me. Anyway, so in her Jantara, all of her past selves are gonna come out and they're gonna take over the bodies of all of her friends, and we're gonna hear what they have to say. And she really is bothered because she doesn't understand why Curzon, let her become a trill thing, whatever the fuck they call it. Carrier.
Joined.
Yes, that's it, thank you. Why she let her be, a joined trill, because he, threw her out, but then he let her back into the initiate program, and, why did he pick me, and ba-da-ba-ba. Who fucking gives a shit? Meanwhile, Nog is back on the ship, and he's about to take his PSATs.
Sweet 16. Oh.
His Sweet 16, yeah. He 16 and pregnant, and I don't know. But
was that what you were trying to remember, Caitlin?
Yeah. Yep. No.
That is what they do in the South. That's true.
I did.
Nailed it, both of you. That was perfect. Fucking Ames set it up, and you knocked it down. It was great.
Since we're back on it, did you mean cotillion?
It might have been cotillion.
Because all I can find is cotillion or debutante ball.
I mean, those are basically the same thing, right?
They are the same thing.
Maybe I was thinking of cotillion. I don't know. Whatever. Something creepy where Southern men show off their, adolescent daughters in expensive dresses in a party to all their man friends.
It sounds like a cotillion.
Debutante ball / cotillion.
Yeah, it's gross. It's disgusting.
Sweet 16's funnier because she's got a cheap plastic tiara on and is having a cake.
Someone shows up to give her a Mercedes.
Ooh, lucky girl.
That she crashes immediately.
Lucky us.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
So Nog is here and he's getting ready for his big, like I said, PSATs it's like the pre-test to take the test to get into the academy officially, I think, right? As a cadet.
The impression I was under is that it's basically because he doesn't quite have the background, it's to get into a preparatory program.
Okay.
So, before the academy, they'll kind of spend half a year getting him up to speed.
Gotcha. And he's working really hard on it, and his dad is really proud and bought him a cadet's outfit. He had Garrick make it special, which I thought was a really sweet bit. But it turns out that Quark is a complete piece of shit, and, I mean, not that that's news, but he sabotages his lovely nephew's chances. But thankfully Rom is onto him, which is very smart for Rom, and goes to Cisco and takes care of it so Nog can test again, and he passes, and it's great, and we're all happy, and Quark is a fucking dickbag.
Dickbag.
And Rom had the best line ever. Nog's happiness is more important to me than Latinum. Anyway.
Bad Ferengi.
Yeah, he's the worst. He doesn't have the
He takes
Damn
after
good father, though.
Moogie!
Yeah,
So-
his character arc is getting better. I still can't stand the voice.
Yeah,
But the
his
character
voice
arc is very interesting.
Yeah, he's a good old Rom. But anyway, back to fucking Jadzia. So, some weird shit
Which
happens.
is what Julian wants to do.
Oh no. It's Curzon who gets to go into Odo's body, and some weird shit happens with his hair and his face, and because of his shape-shifting DNA or whatever, something happens where, their thoughts and personalities are melding, and Curzon is a cheeky bastard, and turns out the reason why he was a shit to Jadzia was because he was in love with her, which as a side note is why I fucking hate this episode. Jadzia! Boy crazy Jadzia! Again!
Boy.
Why? Anyway, even though it really wasn't her. It's not her fault for once, though her acting was a little...
I feel like this is among the better acting we've seen from Terry Farrell.
Yeah, I thought she was
I
actually
have
quite
a
good in
note.
this one.
I have a great note about that. We'll get to that in a second, though. What else happens, Caitlin?
Cisco is got the fucking cuckoo dude in him, Joran, and he beats the shit out of Cisco a little bit, and then fakes Jadzia out and is no, I'm back to Cisco. LOL, I'm choking you. Just kidding. And then he does actually go back to being Cisco, and I thought for sure he was faking them out a second time, and then nothing happened with that, so I was like, all right. I was like, why? You're leading me down a path, and you're never giving me what I expect.
No, Jadzia used her Klingon warrior side to beat the Joran out of Cisco.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what happened? Beat him out of him. And he's like, oh, thanks for not breaking any bones, old man. And I was like, great. Good. Very good. Yeah, I just...
the thing about this episode, and here's I read the backstory of where this idea came from, and I watched another movie this week to boot, so I'll get to that in a second.
Sybil?
Yes, but I didn't watch the good one. Because the good one's like 3.5 hours long because it was a television series or a mini series. But I watched the 2007 remake, which was meh. But yeah, they really wanted to do something about a woman with dissociative identity disorder, and they're like, "How do we do this? How do we do this? Let's figure out if we can do it with Jadzia." And they're like, "Okay, so that would mean if we bring out all of Jadzia's past hosts." Then Terry Farrell will have to play them all.
Oh, no.
And red flags go off in my brain saying,
you know what? It wasn't that good of an idea.
Do it.
Let's skip it.
Yeah, and then somebody had the bright, stupid idea of, it should be like we always do, which is just having the other characters play those characters because we already have them on the ship.
But we need an extra one, so we have to have Lita show up for no reason.
Which they do all the fucking time.
My first note is the 6 people I'm closest to and the new extra.
Yeah.
Well, Rosalind Chow wasn't available because they wanted to have her.
Yeah, that would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah,
or
they
Jake.
couldn't get the actress. Well, it had to be a female because right now they've put themselves in the stupid place where they realize, oh shit, we only have 2 women on the show. What? How did we manage that?
I feel like most show writers in the 90s never would have thought that was a problem, so they really were ahead of their time.
Cassidy Yates, I don't know. They could have had somebody. I feel like Lita was like, I know in the future of the show she becomes a more major recurring character.
Yeah, but right now we've only seen her once for about a minute.
Yeah, we saw.
Guys, but we were told at the beginning that she and Jadzia have been spending a lot of time together.
And we'll never see that again.
I remember
I was
her
like, dude, are they gay? This is awesome. I was so
acutely.
Excited.
What did you say, Jake?
I have very vivid memories of seeing Lita in that episode.
Yeah.
She leaves 2 big impressions on me.
I will say I liked what little they did where it was like, she's a Dabo girl, so she reads up on cultures to be kind of ready for clientele. Oh, yeah. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, I like Lita well enough, and I like Chase Masterson's acting as Lita well enough, but it comes out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, she's too new at this point. You're like...
And also, it's just that also I fucking hate, because they've done this, as we've said, countless fucking times now, where it's like, let's just have the actors whom we have play these extra characters so that they can, strut their stuff, do some extra acting. When I'm thinking to myself, if you really wanted Jadzia to encounter her past selves, there should have been something like, I don't know, maybe there were holodeck versions of them, where then we could have extra actors come in and play them. Or maybe it's a dream thing.
Well, the time
anything.
she fucking went in the pool and saw Murder Jim.
Yeah,
there.
and he even remembered that. When he was in Cisco, he remembered having met her before. So
in the pool.
So it wasn't the pool thing wasn't just a hallucination. That was a legit interaction.
Yeah. Having said that, I love Curzotto, so... I love his
Pokemon.
suit.
Sounds like a delicious Italian dish.
Or that. But no, I love his suit. I love his hair. They should have kept his hair like that. He should have been like, I'm keeping the hair. But no, I loved the suit. When he went poof and had that on, and I was like, this is the best piece of civilian clothing Star Trek has ever given us.
Yeah, they also reference Frank Owen Smith, who played Curzon in The Emissary.
Oh, okay.
Emissary. So that they could know, what to make Odo's face look like. So that it would actually look like the character the actor who played Odo before. I'm sorry, the actor who played Curzon before. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm surprised at what the genesis of this episode is, because to me, I assume that the whole point of this episode was that we want to have Odo have merge with one of Jadzia's former selves and then have
that feels like an afterthought.
See, to me, that was the episode, and that should have been.
Well, they should have started it sooner.
They really should. I feel like everything leading up to that was a waste of time. You know,
Yeah.
Well, this is why I say they should have moved this B plot to the previous episode so they could really fucking focus on this. Because I know one of the writers, I forget which one, was like, no, we really, really have to see each one of the other previous hosts. Which is fine, you get to see all of them, which I think if you removed that and said, we're going to skip the first 6 and only concentrate on the last one, that'd be kind of a waste of time.
Well, I kind of have a rewrite pitch for this script.
Yeah?
I don't know if I can call up Renee Echevarria or something and see if he can commission it. But I feel like this should have been, instead of a ritual, this should have been just Curzon.
Yeah.
And
that'd be
it should have been like Curzon's weekend out with Ben Sisko. Because they spend a lot of time together. I really love the old man friendship thing. Mm-hmm. Then they could, maybe every year Curzon comes out. They go fishing or play baseball or something. And but then Curzon refuses. The other thing is, I really feel like, as great as Odo was, the role of Curzon belongs to Terry Farrell by right. And I don't know how it would have come out, but I feel like if they had put him and her in that way, and then he refused to leave, that would have really heightened what they were trying to do, because now she has to fight for everything that she has gained in a primal way.
See,
do we think Terry Farrell has
no,
the chops?
I think that's the issue.
That also,
it's a shame. I remember really liking her my first time I saw a bunch of DS9 episodes, and now that I'm actually watching, I'm like, oh man, this is actually disappointing.
I feel she is not challenged by the writing they give her.
Oh no.
Maybe that's some of it.
I have always felt that the trills, they have never really figured out how to write the trills good enough for me. Except, ironically enough, Kurzodo. Every trill should be like that. Where you've got this piece of one memory and this piece of another memory, and he's like, Quark, I hate you. Old Matt Benjamin, I love you. Like that. It should all be together like that. And you should see all these 7 people.
Yeah, it should be like
the actor.
And there could be plots based around having to deal with I feel like I'm losing my mind because there's always conflicting thoughts from my past hosts.
Exactly.
But instead, it's just
a hard
drive of memories.
Yeah, and then you watch Sybil after that, because I did that this week, and Sybil's an actually a very, very interesting character. If I bet Caitlin would be into this for some reason. I don't know why I think that. Maybe it's because you're into weird shit like serial killers and stuff.
I am into that.
There's a whole giant controversy because Sybil is based off a real person, Shirley Mason, who was diagnosed with multiple personality disorder before they called it dissociative identity disorder. And there's a lot of controversy that's what we all think that the psychiatrist was actually lying and put all of these thoughts into her head, and none of this was true to begin with.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
There's a word for
bunch
that.
Of books
I
have
can't
come
think
out.
of what it's called.
yeah, I did look up the version you watched. It's like, hey, Jessica Lange is in it. And
she's good.
literally no one else I've heard of. So I was like, ooh, yeah. Okay.
That's because it's not a lot of people, because it's mostly one woman playing 17 characters.
Yeah, but I just mean, I haven't heard of the woman who played the 17 characters, so that's a bad sign.
Yeah, the original from 1976 with, oh god, I've lost her name. I don't know, it won a whole bunch of awards and shit, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, they referenced that in Animaniacs. It was so well known.
How many you got in there, Sybil?
Sally Fields. Sally Fields won an award for that.
Right.
Great actor.
I like her. She makes good cookies.
Sorry, Mrs. Fields is my mother.
Deep Space Nine has some weird influences. You look on Memory Alpha, and it's like, this episode was inspired by a baseball card that you found.
Yeah. I feel like they do it a lot with Jadzia. I was just reading in my book when they say they've admitted they rarely know what to do with Jadzia because
exactly.
We want to do Brigadoon in space. Let's make it a Jadzia episode.
Boys!
We want to do Sybil in space.
Boys!
Let's make it a Jadzia episode.
And you know what? I've seen Terry Farrell, outside of Deep Space Nine. She has a joie de vivre, in interviews that she does not show on the show. They could have done something more with her, even if she's never going to be the best. It's kind of like on Disco Season 1, a lot of people said that the actress playing Tilly couldn't act. But then they went to the Mirror Universe and she became an Empress, and it wasn't, I don't know if that was a better role, but it was at least different.
I think they also
Empress Tilly is great.
Tilly's great.
I love Tilly all over the place. Everything
Yeah.
about Tilly is great.
They made Tilly a little less in your face at that point too. They were leaning too heavily on the
I talk too much. Am I talking too much? much? I know I talk
Yeah.
too much.
I'm going to say
sometimes.
the F word.
But once they kind of pulled back on that, and I think Killy was a big moment. Like, she's a standout character from that show.
But also
Absolutely.
keep in mind that most of the people who say that she's a bad actress are really just mad because she's not a size 2.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like I can't even
Well, I
take
mean,
I
I
can't
can't-
even take a lot of people's criticism seriously because everyone's like, "Oh, she's so fat. She's so stupid. What's wrong with her?" It's like she's like a fucking
I mean,
she's not first of all, she's not fat. Like
Right, well, I mean, there's
second of
legitimate
all, go
criticisms,
fuck
I
yourself.
think, of that character and how it was written. I don't know enough about
think,
that
yeah,
actress to say if it's a bad acting job. And
Yeah, I remember.
I think
I remember the character being annoying for the first several episodes.
Yeah.
But I likened her to basically being Sonia Gomez Part 2.
yeah.
Or
Yeah, no, the
Bashir,
writing-
you know?
yeah, Bashir.
Yeah. Like, I will say the writing, the acting was just, she was acting the character she was given,
Yeah.
and the writing for her first few appearances was
Fucking
grating
annoying.
as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I definitely lay that completely at the writer's
And
feet.
I don't know about, like, with the Jadzia situation, you know, how much of it is just Terry Farrell not being so great. Because, I have seen her in other things. I mean, she was on Becker, and I thought she was...
Oh, that's right. She's
Was she
great
on
on
Becker?
Becker.
She was
Well, she's
in the
normal-
main cast of Becker. She was the coffee
she's
shop
like a
owner.
Yeah, she's like a normal person on
Yeah.
Becker, and I think basically like the character on Becker. I don't know the name.
It was a
she's
a
kinda
male
like-
name, I feel like. It's been so long since I saw that show.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Reggie? Was it Reggie?
But-
I'm gonna know in
All right,
just
yeah,
a
let me
minute.
know.
Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, no, I feel like her main personality elements of that character were she's sassy,
Yeah, Reggie.
and that's mostly it. And that's mostly it because Terry Farrell is great at doing sassy,
Yeah.
sassy and smart.
Yeah, and Becker's,
Yeah, I
she was
mean-
fine in that show.
What it comes down to is, like you said, they didn't really know what to do with Jadzia. So imagine the direction she must have been getting. It was
Oh, yeah.
probably
Yeah.
almost non-existent.
And 90% of the time, she has to deliver all the random science bullshit, which
Yeah.
is hard to make into a character.
And I mean, even the best actors need good direction. The example I always go to is the worst movie I've ever seen, The Amazing Spider-Man, has a fucking, on paper, fantastic cast. And all of them suck.
hmm
Yeah.
And it's like, you do not have that many high-caliber actors in one film doing that poorly unless it's a failure
Well,
of direction.
it's the Eugene Levy paradox, you know?
What about
What's that?
Because he's brilliant and he's hilarious, but he's also in a lot of trash movies.
Oh, all
What
of
was
his
one we
movies
talked? We just
suck.
talked about this
Money.
last week.
Yeah.
Well, that's different. That's not a failure of direction. That's a man who's just like, fuck it, this is my job.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take what comes. I don't
Oh, yeah.
know.
That's like Michael Caine missing his like Oscar because he was filming Jaws 4 or
Nice.
whatever.
Yeah. I think
Michael Caine gotta get paid.
yeah, like the British are way less like bullshit about that sort of thing. They're just like, yeah, it's a paycheck. Like Americans kind of we play at this like you've got to be choosy kind of thing. So again, yeah, you know what? If you're the kind of actor who gets a fucking small fortune for every
Yeah.
film you're in,
If
you
you're
get
Daniel
to be,
Day-Lewis.
yeah, if you're Eugene Levy, who's a character actor, and even a really famous character actor is only going to make so much per thing, you take what you can
Yeah.
get.
If he has to be in 27 American Pie movies, so be it.
And at the end of the day, what's going to stand the test of time isn't those; it'll be the good things he was
Yeah.
in.
Like American
Name
Pie
one.
1.
Oh, okay, fine, fair enough.
Wait.
He's in all those like weird.
Yeah,
indie
he's in
comedies.
all like a whole bunch of the Christopher Guest
Christopher
films.
Guest. Oh, those
Yeah.
are great.
Schitt's
Yeah,
Creek
so
is
that's-
excellent.
Yeah, people fucking like that's the stuff that's going to survive, not American
Gooby.
Pie 4. And I've never seen American Pie 1, but by all accounts, the original actually is
I mean,
good.
it's
if
good
you
for
like
Yeah,
a
I've
sex
never
sequel.
seen
rom.
it either.
And of course,
Yeah.
SCTV.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We were just watching some SCTV recently. He was
Yeah.
I want to watch
hilarious.
Moogie.
Da-da-da-da.
Huh?
No, it was actually just Caitlin had never heard of it, so it was
The
only
woman,
after
the
the
woman
fact.
who plays the woman who plays the first iteration of Moogie is in that.
That's right.
Yeah, you
Chris
were telling
was telling
me.
me that.
Yeah, Andrea Martin. Yeah.
Yep, I
Anyway,
was
I want
sitting
to
there.
bring it back to
Yeah,
facets.
sorry.
Yes.
Let's bring it back to facets. I want to talk about Joran.
Duran
Because out
Duran.
of fucking nowhere, they decide Joran is a
I
psychopath.
know that wasn't the character trait last time.
No, it wasn't. We
Yeah.
met him before. He wasn't a psychopath. He just happened to kill somebody out of convenience. Was what I got
I
out
thought
of
it wasn't even
what
out of
was that,
convenience. It was
Equilibrium?
like he wasn't mentally
Out of necessity, maybe.
strong enough to deal with the pressures of being a joined trill.
Maybe that drove him crazy.
But like when we see him in this, he's got like wide eyes and he's talking scary and he's banging his head on the fucking thing.
Did they?
Well, that was Avery Brooks.
Did they give Avery Brooks funky contacts, or did they just find a way to light his eyes weird?
Oh my God! Speaking of Avery Brooks, they had to reshoot all the Joran scenes because Avery Brooks made it too creepy, and they said, "Okay, you're being way too creepy, Avery. We're going to redo all these
Avery
and
Brooks.
be less creepy." He's a weird man, Chris. He's the weirdest
like,
man.
When they said he was gonna play the crazy Trill, I was like, of course he is.
Avery Brooks, he is a natural stage actor as far as I'm concerned. And that looks weird on TV sometimes. But you would want to see him play Hamlet at the Globe, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Admit it.
No, he'd be Iago. He'd make a great Iago.
Could do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, he is fantastic. But, you know, I think you could make the same case for a Shatner. You know, everyone.
Sure.
Like,
yeah,
I think
I've
said this before, that I just think they're two sides of the same coin in the acting department. They're both like celebrated over actors. But like for some reason, people really connect with the Avery Brooks style. Like no one's like, man, Avery Brooks, what a goofy actor.
Yeah, he's also very charming.
Yeah,
a lot of
but
people.
so is
being
Shatner.
wacky.
I feel like Shatner gets a raw deal. Is the point I'm going to?
Well, I think what it is with Shatner, I think, is that his style of overacting is dated in a way, like, because when you look at him, you know, they talk about how he did a lot of Shakespeare in Canada, and you think about when he did Shakespeare, this was at the height of the, like, pompous Laurence Olivier style of acting. And if you think of him delivering Shakespeare, that's exactly how everyone did Shakespeare mid-century.
Wait, Laurence Olivier or Sidney Poitier? Because I feel like I've
Laurence
heard...
Olivier.
Oh, I feel like I've heard the other as well.
Like, it's just this really strange, stilted, you know, you think about the weird pauses and the sudden rush, like, you're like, yeah, he acts like that because that was legitimately how people thought you were supposed to do a certain type of theater in the mid-century.
I just want to hear how he would do Slings and Arrows, you know.
Both of them. I'll take both of their versions.
Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows, but rage is fortune.
But that's just it. Like, that's how...
Which one are you doing right now, Jake? They're kind of both
I
in
think,
there.
yeah.
That's
an
how
amalgamation.
everyone did Shakespeare in the 50s. So his acting style makes sense. It's just... He unfortunately learned it right before everyone stopped doing it, thank God.
I think at a certain point, too, I think he started leaning in to the stereotype. Because,
that's true.
And Avery Brooks never did that.
That's true.
You know, he's
that just
got
is
too much
Avery
dignity.
Brooks.
No, that's true. Yeah. Shatner definitely was like, people draw such a broad caricature of me. If I want to keep making money in this business, I just need to embrace that and just be that.
Yeah, because it's definitely less intense when you look at, like, TOS.
Yeah. Anyway, back to this show.
Yes.
So most of the facets did nothing for me, but I did want to call out, for not a good reason, the Quark gets to play a woman
that scene
one.
was so disappointing.
Very cringy. I was just like,
so stereotypical.
I don't know, I read
dearie.
No, I read that Armin Shimmerman, like everyone in the room was like, everyone, let's come watch Quark being a lady. It's going to be hilarious. And Armin Shimmerman specifically tried to play it as straight as possible.
It was
as like
still
not,
just
it's
so
because it's not a
broad.
comedy
I don't know.
scene.
I thought it was like
it was the fact that, like, he was sitting down to brush her hair and talk about being a mother, and it's like, wait, you were head of the Symbiosis Commission. Like, that's
Exactly.
so much bigger. Hold on.
Yeah.
Backtrack. Like, that was definitely a scene written by a dude.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I don't think Armin Shimmerman, I think he did the best with the material, probably.
Oh, yeah, I don't blame him.
Again, I feel like the writing failed here to just like...
Well, some of it is the casting, too, because when they realized we don't have enough women to play all of the female-identified facets of Jadzia's personality, it's, all right, well, obviously Quark's going to play one because that's funny.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They shouldn't... I feel like they shouldn't have gone for laughs, especially given that the character was supposed to be, you know, this major figure and not just, you know... I don't know. I feel like it did disservice to that past host to have it be Quark,
absolutely
jokey, brushing the hair. You know,
it is interesting though. You look at the history of the Daxes, and it's like you've got this major legislator, the head of the Symbiosis Commission, Curzon, who's like fucking and ambassading his way across the galaxy, and Tobin. Like, weird little nerdy Tobin, who apparently the first time he ever got drunk.
Well, he's at least a math genius.
Yeah, he's also brilliant.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I didn't need? I didn't need an origin story for why Jadzia holds her hands behind her back.
Why? That was the worst. You know, at least with that horrible Quark scene, they were going for something. With all those scenes with all those other hosts, they weren't going for anything at all.
You know what's weird that I realized watching this was Jadzia does a lot of, like self-revelations about, oh, this is why I do this. Oh, this is a thing I didn't realize about myself before. Why doesn't she realize these things on her own? She has the memory.
I think it's like...
apparently you don't have everything.
Well, I wonder if it's also just like, when it's like little things like putting your hand behind your back, you don't necessarily associate with a particular host.
Right, it's like muscle memory type.
It's just something...
Is that a little thing, though? Because it comes from a very big memory of Leela learning that people made fun of her for using her gesticulating a lot and changing her behavior. That's a big memory. She was from the
Italian part of the Trill homeworld.
Yeah, or not knowing that Curzon was in love with you. Why the fuck doesn't she realize that?
That's my big criticism.
Did Curzon just request... Do you think Curzon requested Jadzia so he could finally be inside her?
No, she requested him.
Oh, that's right, she did. What I found interesting, though, with the Lita thing, also, this is a side note, but I found it appropriate that Nana Visitor, whose name we mispronounced as Nana for so long, was playing sort of a little old lady.
She's playing a Nana.
She is quite
Nana
adorable.
was playing a Nana.
She's oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you first.
Well, I was just going to say, she, like, Nana Visitor is so good that, like, if any other actor tried to do that character, I would think it was like a comedy bit or like a commedia dell'arte or something. But Nana is so good, I believe that she's doing it like her aunt or something.
Yeah.
Or Dr. Ruth.
But I found it interesting, that moment did sort of... There is a larger theme, whether intentional or not, but, there is an attempt, I think, to sort of discuss aspects of sort of sexism and imposter syndrome and all this other stuff. Because you've got Lita, who's like, I did this to sort of piss off, because the men were being dicks. Because I was being too forceful. We've heard that argument a lot. Women aren't allowed to have emotion.
Hang on, what thing are you referring to?
Her putting her hands behind her back.
Leela.
Leela. Oh, it was Leela.
Lita is the Dabo girl.
Oh, right. Christ.
Yeah. Lita played Emily.
Yes, the gymnast. But Leela, has male colleagues who decides, she's too emotional. So she clasps her hand behind her back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So much of what, drives Dax's discomfort, the reason she's been avoiding this is to avoid talking to Curzon, because I think, everything he did to her gave her, like, a really bad case of imposter syndrome. And it turns out it's because, a man in a position of power had inappropriate feelings, and, I mean, on the one hand, he didn't, like, try to use that to his advantage, but on the other hand, he still disadvantaged her because of it. Instead of being like, I'm just going to be better, it's like, I'm just going to try to get rid of the problem as I see it. So I think there is at least a little aspect of it there. But it's fascinating that, she's got, everything she's done on her own, and then all the people she has been, like... Again, it's this, like, the Dax symbiote seems to mostly go to some of the higher echelon people, A major legislature, the head of the commission, ambassador...
Tarius was a pilot or something. That's what I read.
He was like an engineer and a math... Oh, Tarius, right. I was thinking
the one
Tobin.
that Julian did.
Yeah, they do a lousy job with the naming, because too many of the names right now are sounding alike. Yeah. Oh, I read that Julian, they gave him the direction right before filming of... Hey, Siddig, can you do John Wayne?
Oh, God.
Maybe? Let's find out.
Hey, Siddig, could you not talk like a vampire?
The American accent, I wasn't sure what was going on there, but yeah.
Him and the chief.
Yeah, well, the chief.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to decide, like,
good.
Is he trying to do, like, an American accent, or is he just trying to do, like, a pissant accent?
I thought, to me, that was the other commedia dell'arte performance. besides non-visitors. It's like get the two of them on stage and they'll like riff on each other for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. I wouldn't have thought that, hey, Sidney, could you do Wayne? Although now that you say that, I guess I can kind of see he was trying. I feel like the direction had been, hey, Sidney, could you do a fat guy? just be what you think a fat guy is.
I thought he was trying to do like a World War I flying ace or something. Like I could see like goggles on top of his head.
There we go.
That's right. I've got to beat Jerry.
He could do that in the the holodeck as long as he stood up in the plane before he turned the holodeck off.
Yes.
Oh, you segueing to the Nog
Well,
plot?
yeah, I feel like we should touch on it at least. We've been talking for
That's
a
true,
long
that's
time.
true.
Before we do, can I just say one more thing that I thought was great?
Yes.
The only thing I thought was great
I hope
didn't
it wasn't
involve
when-
Nog.
I hope it wasn't when Jadzia gave Quark Umox in front of everyone.
No, that was it. No. I really
have to stop
liked
doing that.
I liked when Kurzoto ordered Tranya. I thought it was
Yes.
a fun callback. I thought it was
Good
great.
times.
I was like, I was like, oh my
It was
god,
the
he
right-
ordered Tranya. And Pat was like, what the hell's Tranya? And I'm like, oh, Cliff Howard's little weird alien bitch drinks it in TOS. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
See, they
And it
should
was the
do
right
that
color.
all the time with Trills.
It was a bright neon orange.
Looked great. It was like
did.
Tang.
I'd drink that.
Oh, yeah.
I would
He
too.
may have known
I
Bailey.
feel like
We
it
don't
looks
know.
like it's probably vaguely like orange and citrus flavored of some kind. But
Yeah.
it's nice.
Yeah.
In moving on to the Nog plot, my first note was, is Nog wearing the right head today? It looked funny, and I actually read that they changed up his cheekbones to show that he was getting a little older.
Oh.
So they gave him a new cheek thing on the face that I thought just looked like he was missing part of his makeup.
I didn't even notice that, but I
Yeah, no,
noticed
good catch.
his headdress in the back looked like
Yeah, it looked like garbage at the beginning. I noticed that too.
Looked like it was made of
Yeah.
tinfoil.
It was like, oh, we lost that. All right, just like fold this cardboard around his head or something.
Here, I'll
Yeah, that's-
staple it in place
No
to the
one will
prosthetic.
Yeah, I was definitely distracted by his
Yeah,
head
which is why
thing.
when he was in the fake cadet uniform later, it was much better because that had a proper
Not much.
thing.
Oh, I don't like the cadet uniform though. It's gone more pajama-y again.
Yeah.
It's true.
No, you just think that because Nog's like total height ever was 5 feet.
Mm.
It's because he looks like a little kid, especially a really little kid, especially next to Jake. Who
Yeah, who's-
apparently is like 6'4" in real life and was probably well on his way by
Yeah.
then. Like
Oh,
I
yeah,
had
he
never
definitely-
been.
Or
He must have.
Damn.
He must have shot
Yeah,
up.
we're only
'cause I was
3
like, holy
seasons
shit,
in,
I
and
don't
Jake
remember
Sisko
him being like
Already
huge.
like compared, like if you look at Jake Sisko in Emissary and Jake Sisko in this episode, like they're
Yeah.
Feet
like
taller.
his growth spurt occurred.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
happened at some point between I think probably between seasons 2 and 3 or something. Like,
Because like
Yeah, I
I
think
remember
by-
thinking like when he was dating Marta, I'm like, man, there's no way. I mean, he's just a little kid, and now I'm like, yeah, no, I could totally see him dating Marta.
yeah, no, yeah, logical.
bring her back.
I'm fascinated by Starfleet Academy's habit of making the opening test a specially designed chamber of horrors
Yeah.
designed uniquely for you.
Right.
You know, they got the stress test, they got the psych test, they got the Kobayashi Maru. I wonder, is that how they have fun over there? It's
Starfleet is just an abusive
Yeah.
parent.
it's
Well,
like
didn't
something
we- didn't we
Zuckerberg would
see-
come up with and be under criticized for.
Well, and we saw this like torture chamber with Joss Whedon there, Wesley, right? Didn't he get a?
Joss Whedon.
What am I talking about?
Will
I'm
we
talking about
Oh
TNG.
yeah, right, the psych test. Yeah, the
I'm talking about
Yeah.
TNG, but I'm talking about when Wesley had his.
Well, yeah,
little
we had to
House of
rescue that.
Horror
He had to
thing.
choose one guy to rescue, and he chose the wrong one.
Did you mean Will Wheaton?
What did I say?
We said
Joss
Joss
Whedon.
Whedon, who's the guy that did.
No, that's not who I mean. He sucks. Sorry, wrong guy. Sorry,
Will
Will
Wheaton.
Wheaton. Sorry.
Yeah,
Listen.
his like specially designed for his history.
Yeah.
We never did see what the fuck fucking
Mendon?
Benzites. Yeah, Mendon's
Oh no,
test
sorry,
was.
Mordok.
Mordok?
Mordok was the first one.
Right. Either way. That must take a lot of effort though. Custom tailoring it to every single cadet.
yeah, it's like a
Having to
personal
read-
Hunger Games.
Maybe
Yeah.
they have a room of requirement that just becomes whatever it needs to become.
Yeah, I mean, how many people do they have to? How many people like filter through this process?
Well, that's the thing. Both in Wesley's case and in Nog's case, they were these weren't like the actual, the standard entry test. Because in Wesley's case, it was specifically for some sort of like early admission program, that he'd qualified for
Yeah, because he
because
was so young.
And then in this case, this was like for some and like it was also like a pre-admission thing. So I don't like, maybe if you just go through the normal process, ROTC or whatever, you just get right. You don't have to do this shit. So who knows?
Yeah, and that's why you see a lot of really incompetent people in Starfleet.
Maybe it's also just like, okay, we're going to let people in that haven't quite met the normal requirements, either, graduating high school or, knowing how to read. So we'll create a special test for them that like is still fair. Like it still fairly tests their psychological abilities, but it's not necessarily a traditional entrance exam.
Do you think a lot of
AP Starfleet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of the alien cultures have to go through this just because there isn't like an equivalence from their worlds?
That or racism.
Mm.
And I just realized whoever it is that comes up with these personalized tests, definitely a Vulcan.
Yes. You know what I love?
They've got a Vulcan in a room somewhere who reads the person's file and comes up with this little thing. And, yep. Sorry, you were going to say, Carl?
One of the best contributions that Deep Space Nine makes to Star Trek, I think, is the smug Vulcans. Because they haven't really been challenged in Next Gen or the original, but Deep Space is willing to be like, they can't be that unemotional. They can't. There's just no way.
Dickheads.
Jesus, then you get to Enterprise, and they ran with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right, because the Dark Guy even, there's just such a little note
piece
of
of
like...
shit.
I do not make the rules. I merely follow them unemotionally. Yeah.
There's another one wherein there will be a contest with Vulcans, and it is similar, only even more of a dickhead.
Yep, I know the one.
It's Cisco's
Such a
arch
fantasy.
rival from the Academy days.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that episode off.
We can. Look, we did TAS. We can survive that episode.
God.
One of my favorite lines was part of the Nog B plot, and I don't remember who he says it to, but O'Brien says, as soon as that kid graduates from the academy, I'm gonna have to call him Sir.
Yes.
Yep.
And I was like, Deep Space Nine hates O'Brien so much.
Oh,
like,
they do. It's great.
We beat the shit out of him, and now he's gonna have to call Nog Sir.
Like, if anyone could have offered him, something like, look, Nog, if the whole Academy thing doesn't work out, just fucking enlist. I did. It's a thing.
And Nog would be like, ha ha ha, I don't want to be like you, O'Brien.
True.
Like, even Nog would be like, you suck, O'Brien.
And he doesn't want to be like his father either. I mean, that would be, he's got to be an officer. There's just no other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nog kind of just wants to be his own guy. He's like, there's no role model for him, really. If anyone's a role model for him, it's Sisko.
Yeah.
True.
I love how devoted Rom is to him.
Yeah.
It's like the one time we really get to see him show some backbone. I guess, actually, Family is where he shows backbone, because I feel like he stood up for Moogie quite a bit as well. But, like...
Yeah.
It's like Star Trek is trying to make up for years of bad families by having Sisko and Rom in the same show.
They're so good.
Because, like, up until now, every parent has been terrible.
Well,
Did you end up
who are
watching
the
those
parents?
But
Isn't it just been
in a couple of
Captain Kirk?
episodes, we're going to get the king of bad parenting back in Deep Space Nine.
Oh, that's true.
Is he going to be in the show soon?
Yeah.
I can't wait.
But no, you think, well, so we had
He doesn't
Kirk.
bring the kid, though, does he?
No.
Yeah, did you end up, Chris, watching,
Thank God.
I know there's a Steve Shives video rating all the different parents in
Oh,
on
not
Star
yet.
Trek.
I need to.
Oh, it's what you'd expect.
But yeah, no, there was Kirk, who, I mean, yes, all right.
Who is a jerk.
Carol asked him to keep his distance, but still.
Yeah, he was probably like, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Riker's old man. Yeah, he didn't need much convincing. Riker's old man, where there was clearly a lot of tension. Yeah,
The
Worf.
Loxana.
Just Worf.
Sarek.
Yeah, he's pretty rough.
Terrible. Pretty bad
Yeah.
to all his various
Picard's
kids.
dad
Yeah.
who yells at him from beyond the grave.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's been a bad run. Like, it's not a great history, so it's nice that not only do we have one, we got two. We got two very good family people finally in Star Trek.
And I think Jake Sisko is a major part of that too.
Yeah.
Like the difference between him and Wesley is the way in the way they're written is so illustrative.
Mm-hmm.
He is such a 14-year-old boy. Like it's not when he later on in the series, like the best stuff he does are so like idealistic, misguided 14-year-old boy.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, Beverly they didn't show her parenting much, but I guess she wasn't a bad parent. She just had like a super genius kid who was already kind of aloof.
Wesley was his own downfall.
Yeah, like I guess I wouldn't say there's any evidence that Bev was a bad parent. She was probably a good one, but the show didn't know how to write women, so they never showed that.
And Next Gen never cared about family in the way Deep Space does. And in the way Cisco, like that's what I love about Cisco.
They clearly didn't because they had shitloads of families all over their flying death ship.
Yeah.
You know our ship that's powered by a matter-antimatter explosion? Let's fill it with children. And then give that ship to a captain we know hates kids.
Somewhere Picard just got half of an erection hearing that sentence.
On that note, we should be wrapping this up soon.
We're an hour and a half in.
Always.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I liked Facets overall. I thought the Curzotto stuff was interesting. There was some interesting parallel, I think, between Jadzia having to force Curzon to sort of reckon with her and Rom standing up to Quark.
I think there's a lot of good in this episode. I think the execution of it was just baffling.
Yeah,
it was a little lacking,
lazy.
But I guess for me, I was just so charmed by everything Rene Auberjonois did.
Yeah.
Yeah, last night, because I know we have our wrap-up episode coming up soon, and I was trying to rate this one, and I'm like, I'm putting it in the bad pile. And this morning I wake up, I'm like, does it belong in the bad pile? Maybe it belongs in the meh pile.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it has such promising stuff, but it's like, it's so clearly episode 25 of the 26th episode season. Like, we're tired. We don't really want to be here.
We just really want to do Sybil. Come on,
Sybil.
Yeah. How do we make it work?
But that's...
if I could add my personal favorite line from the episode,
please.
Curzotto going, come in. I was just oozing around the room.
Yes! And if anyone is gonna ooze, it's Curzon. Oh.
Yeah. Hey,
so good.
Something I didn't bring up that I thought of earlier. How much banging happens, do you think, typically during the Jantara?
The Jantaras?
Like,
lots.
Like, do you think, like, it's sort of unspoken? It's like, listen, we might bang.
So wait, so you probably, it seems to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure when you're back from your Jantara, you have memories of both sides.
Probably.
So if you banged yourself,
yeah, that's the thing.
in your Jantara,
I think they all banged. Like, we only see a couple minutes of each host. I guarantee the true thing behind that is like, all right, the reason why that freaking creepy skinny neck guy leaves the room is because it's like, all right, there's lube in the dresser and just,
Well, that's what the big pot of mud is for. That's
really the only reason Quark actually agreed to do it.
It all makes sense.
Well, again, on the notes of erection, let's wrap this one up.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here for episode 179 of A Star to Steer Her By.
Woo!
Next week, we're going to talk about... The Adversary, and we're going to have our season 3 wrap.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carl, for joining us again, and please come again soon. It's
Anytime.
always delightful to have your
love
insight.
Deep Space.
I hope you can dig yourself out from the latest blizzard soon.
I'll try.
If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, you can find us, A Star to Steer Her By, where all fine podcasts are sold. We're on SoundCloud, we're on Stitcher, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, yeah. You can also visit us on Facebook by searching for A Star to Steer Her By, or you can go to... Do that, Jake.
What just happened?
Jake's making a face.
God, I glance away for a second and Jake breaks the podcast.
Never look at Jake.
I didn't mean to. He's right there. You can find us as SSHB Podcast on Twitter and Tumblr. You can visit sshbpodcast.com to visit our website. Yeah, do those things. As always, I have been Caitlin.
I have been Jake.
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This has been Carl.
Thanks again for joining us.
God damn it, Rossi!
Damn it!
What the hell? Time has broken down.
Didn't you put a password on this Zoom account? We can't have James popping in sharing porno or we're trying to wrap up.
God damn, we got
This
Zoom
is what happens because
bombed.
James logged in early.
Rossi, just come back next week, okay?
Sorry, okay.
All right, we'll see you then.
All right. I don't
This
have
is
a rule.
officially Our first 6-person podcast now.
No, we had one before.
Ooh.
We had Kelly and Justice both on.
Oh, no.
during
Hell's
Firefly.
bells, you're right.
Wait, but also if James isn't
Yeah, if
recording,
he's not
this
recording,
isn't
we're not
even
going to be able to
come
splice it
through.
in. So
Oh, that's true.
Oh, man.
Oh,
I
shit.
ruined everything.
Rossi,
it's just going to be a
fucked
random
everything up.
conversation at the end of the episode without Rossi.
Nice.
They've all had strokes, and they're all talking to someone who's not there.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll
Rule
see
of
you in
acquisition,
our
go fuck
Jantara.
yourself. I don't know. I get nothing.
Cool. I'm stopping.
Who's around the room?